Please subscribe and ring the bell to be instantly notified of Hindsight / Balik Tanaw episodes. Please like and share this video and all my videos across social media. Please support the show on PayPal, where you can give out any amount you want, or on Patreon. Patrons can watch Balik Tanaw / Hindsight videos earlier than everyone else. They can see their names at the end of videos, and they can even request videos about a song, a movie, an album, a TV show, or even on one-hit wonders. For full details and to become a patron, visit patreon.com/baliktanaw. And thank you to my sibling G-G Arts for the microphone I borrowed for this video. In the ring of fire we see legends forever true and how they came to be. Welcome! I am Emir, and let's look back in hindsight. This video contains information which I previously shared on the Lost Media Wiki forums and on Reddit. But most of what you'll learn from this video is new. I grew up watching Disney Channel. No, not the Disney Channel, just Disney Channel. The quote-unquote "the" was no longer in use when I started watching it. I'm old, but I'm not that old. Well, I also watched Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. Not anymore though. Because, quote, they're just for kids. End quote. I don't want to go into detail anymore. You can go watch that instead if you want a detailed discussion on the matter. Disney Channel stood out to me for one reason. You see, Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon here in the Philippines just aired the same shows from their counterparts across the world. Meanwhile, the House of Mouse, Mouse Ears, the Disney Channel units around the world have produced and aired region-specific shows, which reflect and are sensitive to the cultures of the area. For example, Disney Channel Europe and the Middle East had this green, Mexican, unibrowed, dinosaur, Muppet. I don't know, man. I don't know. Meanwhile, Disney Channel India had Best of Luck Nikki, an adaptation of Good Luck Charlie for the Indian setting. And perhaps the one Disney Channel with the most regional productions, Southeast Asia. There's a lot. A lot. Today, I will talk about one show from my childhood. A show which definitely exists and is not just the Mandela effect in action. Disney's Legends of the Ring of Fire is about, well, obviously, since I forgot to put a definition of quote-unquote legend on the script, here's one floating above me right now. Good thing I didn't forget to include a definition of quote-unquote Ring of Fire. Let me quote the National Geographic Society. What, you were expecting Wikipedia? Not this time. Happy now? The Ring of Fire, also referred to as the Circum-Pacific Belt, is a path along the Pacific Ocean characterized by active volcanoes and frequent earthquakes. I said this before, again in my Disney Songs videos. Nothing about the Pacific is peaceful. The Ring of Fire certainly isn't. And the legends featured in the Disney show, at least those available online, are no exception. We'll get to those stories in a moment. Raymond Miranda, then Managing Director of Walt Disney Television International, Southeast Asia / Korea, said, and I quote, "We are incredibly proud of this new series and are delighted that it is not just our viewers in Asia who will have the chance to get reacquainted with these wonderful stories." End quote. He said in another interview, quote, "We're especially proud of Disney's Legends of the Ring of Fire, as we feel that it perfectly showcases Asia's diverse, colorful, and historic cultures and traditions." End quote. I reached out to Mr. Miranda, hoping to find out more about Legends. Yes, I'm calling it that. Disney's Legends of the Ring of Fire is just a mouthful. Particularly, I was curious how it came to be. According to him, and I quote, "A key feature of Disney Channel is localization throughout the world. Since Disney Channel did not have advertising on the air then, we create interstitials to build the brand, localize, and tell stories that resonate with our audiences. Each Disney Channel is tasked with being both global and local. And so, while we had global content, we were also looking for specific content for our markets, in our case, our region. Marketing efforts, production efforts, Disney Buzz, then Studio Disney are all part of those efforts." End quote. Studio Disney, huh? Back when I was watching it, it was called Studio D. Another show I'd like to talk about someday. Anyway, back to Mr. Miranda. Quote, "The Disney Channel feed I managed then was the first regional feed in the world, covering multiple countries. As such, we always challenged ourselves to find ways of connecting across multiple countries and cultures." End quote. The show was 5 years in the making. Mr. Miranda recalled, quote, "I joined Disney in 1998. It was a 5-year project in the sense that, very early on, I knew I wanted to tell local stories kids and parents grew up with. It initially started with the idea of folklore like tikbalang, etc. There are many similar stories all over the region. In fact, I still have the 3D model of a tikbalang that Budget Tan of 13 created for the project. But we ultimately decided on myths and legends. My daughters were very young then, and I was not sure if schools were still telling those stories like when I was growing up. I pitched the idea, first to our Disney team in Singapore, then to the regional team led by Doug Miller. We were given the budget for a pilot. We then presented the pilot to our colleagues and bosses in Burbank, led by Anne Sweeney, and in London, led by David Hulbert. I wanted something that was very Disney, hand animation, with memorable scoring and characters, but told as if it was a bedtime story. At that time, very few animated interstitials would be given approval to use Disney in the title. It was something that Roy Disney himself needed to approve. End quote. A word about Roy Disney. Roy E. Disney, not Roy O. Disney. The nephew, not the brother. Roy E. Disney was the last Disney to be involved with the affairs of the company. And now, a history lesson. Just when Disney, the company, seemed to be on the way out, Roy led 2 Save Disney campaigns. The first to bring in Michael Eisner, and the second to take him out. If you follow these channels, Defunctland, Joe the Disney Guy, and yes, even Knowledge Hub, Acid Trip Knowledge Hub, then you'd know just how dramatic and far-reaching these changes were. I've mentioned Waking Sleeping Beauty before. Let me mention it again. Peter Schneider, former president of Walt Disney Feature Animation, said, and I quote, "People always talked about Roy as the idiot nephew. That was his nickname. Nothing could be further from the truth. He was smart, unassuming, and powerful. You could easily underestimate him, but you did so at your own peril." End quote. That was your history lesson. Let's go back to Legends. Mr. Miranda then wrote, quote, "We were overwhelmed with joy when we got the approval to have it called Disney's Legends of the Ring of Fire. End quote. He said in 2003, quote, "The series is being aired worldwide and will premiere on other international Disney channels soon." End quote. He told me that the whole team was doubly thrilled with this news. One of the available episodes is in German. He is almost sure that there were French, Spanish, and Portuguese versions. I made this video to bring more attention to the show, since most of it is lost media. I expected to just talk about the episodes which are not online. What Mr. Miranda relayed to me next surprised me. I quote, "The marketing efforts were just as tireless and inspired. The press conferences across the region, the sell art gifts to our partners, and the music video." End quote. Maybe there are videos or at least pictures of the press conferences? Surely, I'm not the only one curious to know what the sell arts showed. Now that I mentioned them, maybe they'd turn up at auction sites in a few years. But this is the one that most shocked me. I had no idea a music video was made. Mr. Miranda continued, quote, "The Legend song, lyrics by my wife, daughters Ryan Cayabyab and myself, and music by Ryan Cayabyab was arranged by Bob Aves. Aves? Sung by Grace Nono and recorded at Track Studios in Manila and at Shtong Music in Singapore. It was mastered in Australia. We had the Manila Symphony Orchestra for the recordings in Manila and members of the Singapore Symphonic Orchestra in Singapore." End quote. I didn't know Legends had a theme song. I was only aware of the instrumental track at the beginning and end of each episode. Great! More lost media on this show. Okay, how are the episodes made? What was the process in retelling age-old legends as animated shorts? Mr. Miranda wrote, quote, "It took a while to get the project going. The research, I still have all the books. The need to clear the stories with local authorities. There are countries where you need to clear the retelling of local legends. The choice of animators, scoring, character design, storyboards, and the usual delays in production." End quote. How were the legends featured on the show chosen? According to Mr. Miranda, quote, "We have local teams in most of our markets. They were the first stop. They provided us various legends and stories from their own home countries. We also did research through various books and libraries, Google searches, etc. Our production team, led by Ashok Miranda, together with Greg Chu, our marketing team, our research team, and the various local teams would discuss which ones were unique to a market or had a storyline that would resonate across various markets and would translate well into a 4-minute animated feature without character voices and only a story narrator's voice. Each element into Legends, in fact, each word or instrument, was carefully selected. We took out and edited so much to keep it pure." End quote. Once a legend is selected, it took, quote, "It varied, but usually we were working on various phases of an episode at a time. At least 2 to 3 months in general. The scoring alone would take 2 to 3 weeks. Starting with the spotting session, where we watched the tape and broke it down into music themes, spoke about what we heard, etc., together with Sean Letts, our composer and arranger, and Kelvin Singh, our sound engineer and designer. Each scene of animation would also be sent, I think by tape initially, for approval, and we would get on phone calls to discuss, etc." End quote. An article from 2003 said that the show used, quote, 2D cell animation and the latest computer graphics technology from UTV Toons, a division of UTV Software Communications. UTV Toons, based in Mumbai, India, was chosen after a region-wide pitch. The music and sound design was created by Shtong Music Singapore, and the post-production was done in Singapore. End quote. Every episode, at least in English, was narrated by Jim West. Mr. Miranda gave a tribute to him, quote, "and a special tribute to Jim West, the voice of legends. He was based in Texas, and we were recording him from his home studio and directing him over the phone in Singapore. We wanted the voice of a grandfather reading a bedtime story. Warm, caring, but with authority. And he was perfect. Sadly, he passed away in 2009, but received recognition for his work. He would tell us that after a while, it was really not work for him, because it felt like he was really reading to his grandkids." End quote. I don't know exactly how many episodes of Legends were made. The Variety article I quoted earlier lists 6 episodes. Indonesia's Why the Sun Chases the Moon, Malaysia's The Sengal Tree, Thailand's How the Moon Came to Be, and tales from Singapore, Korea, and the Philippines. These tales are How Singapore Got Its Name, Korea's The Magic Snail, and the Philippines' How the Durian Came to Be. Oh, I'm sorry, the Kingdom of the Philippines, How the Durian Came to Be. At least, that's according to an article from the Jakarta Post. Maybe, I did not find it on the Post site. I found it on jawawa.id. Out of these 6, Why the Sun Chases the Moon and How the Moon Came to Be in German are online. Other episodes available online are Japan's Taro and the Three Riddles, Monks, Why Man and Wild Animals Don't Live Together, and The Sun Sisters, a tale shared by the Aboriginal tribes on the Fitzroy River, Western Australia. 6 plus 4 equals 10. Mr. Miranda also said, quote, "Fortunately, Legends was also recognized by various award-giving bodies throughout the world." End quote. One of these is the Asian TV Awards. I checked its website, which mentions 4 more episodes: How the Nightingale Became King of Birds, Why Dogs Chase Cats, The Herdsman and the Weaver, and Why Elephants Have Long Trunks. Lastly, the Taipei Times mentions The Lightning Spirit's Daughter, a tale from Taiwan, quote, "based on a Saisiyat legend, describing how the Saisiyat people, who live in Miaoli, and Hsinchu counties became farmers." End quote. I am very sorry for pronouncing these names wrongly. Please correct me by commenting on the comment section of the YouTube page of this video. Thank you. In summary, there are 14 episodes which definitely exist. I asked Mr. Miranda if there were more. He answered, quote, "I don't know if there were more than this, as I left Disney in November 2006. Most of the titles you mentioned were produced while I was with the team." End quote. Now, let's talk about the episodes which are online. I won't spoil any of the stories, comparing the legends themselves with their legends. Adaptation. I'm not a member of any of the cultures whose Legends episodes are currently accessible, so I don't want to get things wrong. Beyond the text is a subtext which a simple reading of the original versions of these stories can never provide. If you're from these cultures, please comment on the YouTube page of this video. I'd like to know your thoughts. But I'll say this. 1. The show seems to be respectful in adapting the legends to shorts. It does not feel insulting, both to the cultures being represented and to the audience. It refrains from slapstick and dumbing down, which is tempting when making media targeting children. 2. It's interesting to see how other cultures in Asia discuss natural phenomena. I'm familiar with the Filipino tale explaining why there is day and night. Spoilers, it's tragic. Meanwhile, Indonesia's version, which was the first episode, is creative and playful. The show even features, on the other hand, Thailand's explanation, which is in turn a choice between love and sacrifice. The animation used in Legends is distinctly Asian. I didn't expect to say that about a Disney product, but here we are. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. It does not look like anime, nor does it look like Western animation. Legends is its own thing. Yet, it seems familiar to me. Ah, yes. I think Urduha's animation style was inspired by Legends. Look at the eyes. Just look at them. The color scheme too. I'm not sure APT Entertainment based Urduha's animation on this Disney show though. Citation needed. To be fair, there's nothing wrong with that. I already explained why in my review of that movie. Please check it out. There are English subtitles. Legends is also a case study on how to use music to tell a story. I've talked about that subject before, and I do so again today. There are no sound effects in any of the episodes I've seen, and as Mr. Miranda said, nor is there any dialogue. So, everything must rest on the score. And it delivers. Whether the scene is playful or menacing, the music does its job well. The same can be said with Jim West's narration. Again, no one speaks in any of the shorts available online except for the narrator. His voice was distinctive. You may not know his name or what he looked like, but you'd recognize him from his voice work. Mr. West did a great job conveying seriousness and lightness. Sadly, the narrator of the German episode didn't capture the same magic Mr. West did. In closing, I'd like to quote Mr. Miranda one more time. There's no better way to end this video than with his words. Quote, "The saying, 'It takes a village to raise a child,' holds true for most efforts in a team like the one we had at Disney Channel. While the idea may have come from me, the final product is a result of hundreds of smart, creative, talented, and committed folks from all over the world, across various disciplines, turning each 4-minute piece into a work of love and a gift to our audiences wherever they were. Me speaking about this 17 years after, and our efforts still being watched, is a gift in itself." End quote. By making and releasing this video, I hope to bring to attention this Disney gem, especially now with the Southeast Asian Disney princess on the horizon. Who knows? Maybe this will lead Disney to release the show in some form, Disney Plus or otherwise. Did you watch Disney's Legends of the Ring of Fire? Did you work on it? What can you say about it? Or about my video on the matter? Please comment on the YouTube page of this video. I'd like to thank Mr. Raymond Miranda for answering my questions. Please subscribe and ring the bell to be instantly notified of In Hindsight /Balik Tanaw episodes. Please like and share this video and all my videos across social media. Please support the show on PayPal, where you can give out any amount you want, or on Patreon. Patrons can watch Balik Tanaw /In Hindsight videos earlier than everyone else. They can see their names at the end of videos, and they can even request videos about a song, a movie, an album, a TV show, or even on one-hit wonders. For full details and to become a patron, visit patreon.com/baliktanaw. And thank you to my sibling G-G Arts for the microphone I borrowed for this video. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and take care.